There we go. For some reason the camera turned off. Got it back on now. I got it plugged in this time. Go back up a little bit. There we go. It's a little better. Okay. Let's see if I can stitch these guys together. It's in there. Okay. So that circlip is in there. So next is going to be the wiper and the nut for the main shaft. So here's the wiper. And you can see it's made this way. It's open on this end, and it's got a little dent, not a dent, a little cutout there, a little piece cut out. And what that does is this washer, which is a lock washer, but it also has a little tab on the other side, and that goes in that cutout. And as the shaft turns, it turns this. And this has just a kind of a thread cut in the side, and as it turns, the idea is it's supposed to wipe oil towards the bearing back into the case. Now it's sealed, so it's a sealed bearing, so it's not going to do that anymore. I greased up the surface of this bearing so that this would move around on it. See, and then I mean, it's not going to need to work the way that it worked before, but it'll still work. Oh yeah, really? Okay, let's see what's going on here. Let me see what's going on. Sometimes it's better to just take the bloody gloves off. Get a little grease on your fingers. It's all clean here anyway, so. So there's also a slot in the end of this shaft, and that should line up with this guy here too. There we go. That's what it was. I just had this just turned a little bit, and it wasn't quite going in there. It's funny how that worked. All right, now I'm going to take the nut. You can see that it's kind of beveled over on these points, so that's going to go out. And it being, I've already greased everything all up here. I greased the threads and cleaned everything. This being a left-hand thread, it's going to turn counterclockwise to tighten. And there we go. So now, what I've done, and I'll just quickly show you on the other side, is I have put on the clutch backing plate and did this same kind of thing when I actually undid this nut, and I just put an old soft mallet handle down through so that as I turn this, I'm going to pick this up, as I turn as I tighten up the nut and I torque it, you see I put the clutch back plate on, and then I just put this through here, and that's going to act on the footrest right there. So that'll work fine. That's all you need. When you look at the manual, what was it? I think it was 156 inch-pounds, and it gave the torque, metric torque, in kilogram meters instead of Newton meters. So all I did was I just converted it to foot-pounds. I've got both. I've got an inch-pound and a foot-pound torque wrench, but I'm just using my foot-pound one, my larger one, because I just finished putting the rear axle nut on. And it comes out to be, I think it was 47 foot-pounds. So that's what we're going to go with here with this guy. So I've got the wrench already set up, 47 foot-pounds, and of course set up to turn counterclockwise. Oh, and the nut. So the nut is a 21 millimeter nut. I do not have a 21 millimeter socket. So just luckily 21 millimeters comes out to be 13/16 of an inch, which is the same size as your standard larger spark plug socket. So I just grabbed a spark plug socket, and that's what we're going to use. You can see, look, fits right on. Oops, that must have come loose. Yeah, that came loose. You go over and put that back in. Dirty dog. Guess I moved it the wrong way initially. I must have knocked it loose. Okay, let's do this again. Let's get some tension on it. And there we go. Did I have it set 45 or 47? No, I had it set for 45 foot-pounds, but 45 will do fine. So there we go. Now I'll go and I'll punch over the lock washer. I'm going to need to get that hammer out of the clutch backing plate. There we go. Now I can just spin the rear wheel. And I just need to grab that little guy there. This could be interesting. Let's see if I can get under it. Maybe I should have bent that out a little bit more, but that's what I think it is. Could always take it off again and bend it out a bit more. There we go. To a larger one, stronger. There we go. That down against the flat. Now one side, before only one tab of that lock washer was on there. And to be honest, I don't think it was torqued to 45 foot-pounds either, because when I took that off with my wrench, that was not tight at all. That came off rather easily. So I was actually quite surprised. So I think this is even tighter than it was before. So I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Alrighty. Next will be the bearing cover and the spring. So we'll do the bearing cover. Now with the bearing cover, 2 bolts. One bolt has a shoulder on it and is longer. A little bit longer, but it's longer. And that's going to be the one on the bottom here for the where the kickstart spring goes. Which makes sense, because the loop for the spring is going to go where the shoulder is for that. Now these things are really dirty. The threads on these were just filthy. There we go. All right. Now fit in the spring first, and this is going to be fun. There's the where's the hole? There we go. Okay. We got the hole. Now, if I recall, I used my needle nose, which is not sitting here, it's over on the bench. I'll grab my needle nose. Take off the glove because I want to be able to turn that screw quickly. In the butt, holding on to this thing. Son of a gun. Gee whiz. Alright. This is where I should have a lock plier. Son of a gun. Man, that's tough. I wonder. I mean, really, if I put the bolt in first, would it be easier to twist the spring around? And put it in that hole. You know what? I think I'm going to give that a try. I mean, it might not work, but it might. You know, damn it, it might. So let's see if that works a little bit. I'm not going to put it in tight. Just put it in enough to get it going. Have to be on the shoulder. So I don't want it to bugger up the threads. How big are those? It's smaller, yeah, it's smaller. Now we're on the shoulder. So now it should be okay. You know, I don't think this is any easier. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I'll go back to fiddling with it the other way. Go back to it the other way. Well, you're wearing a glove and you got a wrench in your hand, tool in your hand. Not so easy to see. There we go. Okay. Wow, can't believe it. It's going in. What size is this? 12 millimeter. All right. We get this thing all put together, and I'll get the shifter fork and plates and all that good stuff in there, and we're going to give it a try shifting through the gears before I put on the outer cover. And I'm also going to give it a try giving it the kickstart in neutral before we put on the outer cover. There we go. Oh, it's a little... It's always a little hard to tell with these things. It's not quite right. 11 millimeters or 12 millimeters rather. It's close, but see, it's a little. This bike. I tell you, sometimes I got a metric set, an imperial set. Got a Whitworth set, and still, you never know. See, look, 11 millimeters. No, 12 millimeter, 12 is a little too big. What do I get here now? 12. Dopey dopey do. Dopey dopey do. Alright. Okay. Not super tight, just hand tight, but it's not going to come off. And then I got to put in the clutch rod. It's into the clutch rod, so that's in there okay. Just to be sure. In there, yeah. Or I guess it would come flying out if it wasn't. And now the clutch rod. Now clutch rod can go in both ways, but if you look at the ends, you'll see one end has a small little tiny round indentation in it. And that's because the ball on the clutch arm pushes against this end and pushes out on the other end. So it doesn't matter, it can go in the other way, but I'm going to put it back together the way that it was so that everything fits nice. Now I greased this all up with fresh grease, so that's in there now. And I also cleaned up all the grooves here in the splines, and I greased them all. I'd already greased this a little bit. Like I said, showed you I greased the bearing. I also greased all the way around here because now the plates are going to start going back on together, back in here. Now, let's put this back together. How long is this video? I'm going to cut this video off because it's getting a bit long, and then I'll start a new one.